So we just finished going through and taking a look mostly at the legend stuff, how you can adjust some of those things. But you now in this video, the thing we want to do is we're happy with this, right? We're not happy with this actually. It's missing a lot of things, but for the purposes of this video, we're happy with how this looks. And so we want to share it. So how do you share it? Well, same way as I told you before, you go to the share button. Now, you'll notice when you're in layout, you have far fewer things that you can share it as. Right? So you've got this save as layout file project template. This is not what you want. This is going to save it as a non-usable thing. You can print your layout. That's an option. But if you don't have a printout, the thing you're probably going to want to do is you're going to want to export your layout. So under share, export layout, if you hit the down button on this, it's going to show up with a couple of very common things, right? So you've got different PDFs, you've got your AIX, you've got your GeoTIFF, and your web JPEG. Now, for most people, a PDF is probably going to be the best bet. And so if you want to export your PDF, then what you're going to do is you're just going to go over, and you can do other types. So you're going to go over, you're going to export. You notice in this case, in my case, it automatically did to a PNG. This was the last file type I used. So I'm going to do PDF. And once I do that, you'll notice that it goes to name. This is the same as when you start your project, right? So if you want to adjust this, right now it's going to go to the default, right? Which is ArcGIS projects and then ecotourism data, which is what, and the for ecotourism. It's going to automatically call it layout 1. So if I want to change this, if I want to put this somewhere else, then I click that little folder button and I say, where do I want to save this? So maybe I just want to save it in my documents, and I'm going to call this Costa Rica ecotourism. Now, I haven't talked about this, but you'll notice I don't have any spaces in mine. Arc doesn't like spaces. So I've got this PDF. Now, in this case, I don't want to do it as an image, and I'll show you why in a second. And so this is what I got. This is what I got. And so I'm just going to hit export on this, and it's going to go through, and it's going to export this. Now, in this case, we're going to go over to documents, and we're going to wait for it to load, but it's going to my documents. So if we go to my documents, we'll see that now we have this nice little Costa Rica ecotourism, right? So this is what I saved it as. And so if I now pull this up, right, all of a sudden we've got this. But one of the really cool things about this particular variety of export is if I go over here, you'll notice that I've got legend. Boom, I can turn my legend on and off. This is why we did not flatten it. And then I've got my map frame and my map resources, right? So I've got this covariation, a Flickr and Twitter, I've got this provinces, and I've got this dark gray base. Now, this was super common when I worked in government, is that we would create these or these types of PDFs for the rest of the government who didn't work in GIS. I worked in the Office of Statistics, and so we would create these maps that they could then go with all the different layers they might want, but then they could plug and play it, right? They could plug and play, and they could say, oh, I don't want the provinces in this case, or maybe I don't want the railways, or I don't want roads, or I don't want anything like that. They could plug and play this, export that, use that in whatever things they needed. And so this is why PDFs are super powerful to use, and this is why, typically speaking, this is the one you're going to want. So that's why that's the PDFs. That's why you would do that. But in general, it doesn't. If you're just using it for one purpose and you don't need to worry about that, do it as a PNG, do it as a JPEG. Super easy to integrate in with everything else like PowerPoint, and then you don't have to worry about it. So that is that. That is how you export your feature, and you're good to go.